Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestling Diaries. I'm your host, Mitchell Roulane. This is a podcast show for the average Joe. Check us out on YouTube. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more content. Give some comments out there. Give us some love. Also, more importantly, check us out on the audio stream, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Show us some love. Follow us. Tell people that might be interested. This is a show where we have people from the community come on and talk about their lives and their struggles and what they're wrestling with. Today, I got a really awesome guest on who has a really cool name, English Madden, and I'm not making that up.
Oh, cool, man. Thanks.
So I got to tell you something funny. I was talking to a friend earlier this morning, and I was like, oh, I got to go. I got to do this podcast. And oh, cool. Who do you have on today? And I go, English Madden. And then she says, wait, what? I was like, English Madden. She was like, is that their real name? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, that's a really awesome name. And I was like, I know.
Yeah, I mean, well, I am from a large family. I am number 9 of 14 kids.
Holy crap,
there's 11 boys and 3 girls by the same mom and dad. So, and I'm kind of in the midst of it. I'm the only one with the awkward name too.
Oh, I was just about to ask you.
You got like Dustin and Shannon and all them, and it's just like English.
Why did your parents ever tell you why they gave you the first name English? Which is a really cool name.
I think I asked my mom about this, and I think I was named after the drummer from Wings. So you remember Paul McCartney's Wings?
Yes.
So the drummer in that band his name was English.
Right.
So that's what I've been told. So
that's really cool. It also sounds like the name of like a band. Ladies and gentlemen, English Madden. It does. It kind of sounds like a band, which is funny because this guy's been in like 100 bands.
I still get called but then I still get called like nicknames. Oh, I've been called Frenchie a lot in my time. So,
dude, French Madden actually doesn't sound that bad either. That's got kind of like a little ring to it. French Madden.
Just kind of. I guess it's kind of like a name brand or something like that. English. So I guess it's cool.
Yeah. So you're living outside of Birmingham now. Can we talk about that?
Yes, I am recently living in Huntsville, Alabama. So we live in the downtown area. It's just me and my son Emery, who is 11 now. And
shout out.
So it was kind of I've always, stayed in this realm of McCalla and Bessemer and Birmingham, and and I still frequent Birmingham a lot. I still come down and visit and see my friends and get tattooed and go to shows when they were having them. And I felt like at the point in my life, I wanted to try something different and do something, go somewhere different. And I moved to Huntsville, and I also started my business in Huntsville. So I've been plumbing now this is my 16th year. And I recently just became a master gas fitter too. So I also do gas work. So I do plumbing and gas. But I moved to Huntsville and started my business there. And it was really like a kind of a culture change too, because Huntsville is considered a transient city. So I've met people from all over that have moved there because, you have Space and Rocket Center, and then you have Redstone Arsenal, which is a lot of government contracting and stuff. So I've met a lot of people that work for them. And then, you got stuff that's coming there like, the Toyota plant just opened, and then, Google's supposed to be doing something there, and like Elon Musk is supposed to be opening something there. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's being talked about, but there's so much stuff coming there. So I've met people from like Canada and Alaska and Germany, stuff like that, and it's really cool. But I felt like I wanted to do something different with me and my son for a while and just kind of step back from the regular norm of what I was doing here. So,
plus, I imagine like being out there, based on what you just said, like the money's got to be pretty decent too. Because a lot of people probably like want to get that work done, and there's all those different people.
Well, I mean, Huntsville is becoming such it's becoming such a sought after city. So it's like I said, like the housing market, it's insane. It is. I have never seen in my career this kind of work go on. It's constantly. And it's like, it was really hard coming out of the gate starting it, because I went from a city where I was well known and established and had a reputation with a lot of people that I did work for and worked with, to move to a city where I'm not known by anybody. Like it was very stressful. Like it was, and then you're living in this place where you're kind of like secluded. You didn't know anybody, nobody. But I got hooked up with a couple of people, like my friend Travis that owns Hammer and Sales. Love that guy.
What's that? What's Hammer and Sales?
Hammer and Sales. It's his. He is like the king of Huntsville of bathroom remodels, kitchen remodels. I mean, we're fixing to do a bunch of brand new houses from the ground up. So, and this is going to be the first for him, which I mean, I've plumbed a bunch of houses. So, I mean, this is a walk in the park for me, but for him, it's like, we've kind of like build with each other, you know, which he's been in business for like over 10 years. And, but like me and him hooked up and he gave me a shot and like, he wasn't happy with all the plumbers that he had used. And, you know, he gave me a shot and then they were like, man, this cat knows what he's doing and he doesn't, you know, I don't fool around, which I mean, I can say for myself, which I'm so grateful for. I learned from the best. You know, I learned from my dad, my brother Jason, which we call him J-Bo, and my brother Dustin. You know, they all, especially those three, they really taught me the real aspects of plumbing. And I know it's like, you know, you got plumbers that do just service work, like unstopping drains or working on a faucet, or you got, you know, commercial plumbers that do big buildings and stuff like that. And then you got residential plumbers that do houses. But like I got taught how to do it all. So I consider myself a well-rounded plumber. So, and that's very rare to see in this, you know, in this trade. So, but like I said, like I got hooked up with him and we just started, I mean, it just started going and then you just start building and you start networking. So that's just what kind of happened. And then I started building a reputation for myself in Huntsville with people. And it's like, you know, the way that I am with people, I take a different approach on it. Like I'm just straight up about stuff. Like I'm not trying to sell you something, you know, I'm just like, hey, this is what needs to happen. And I mean, you know, I just get real with people. I've always been that way, I feel. But, you know,
I mean, that's a good way to be. I mean, I feel like people buy into authenticity, you know. You're authentic, people can sniff that out. If you're fake and like you're just bullshit.
Well, another thing is too, a lot of people are they can't believe that I'm at the, you know, the point that I am as young as I am. I'm 33 and I own a business and I have 2 masters, you know, and it's like a lot of people like think I'm still 18 years old. Yeah. Punk rock does not age you.
Kind of look like it, man. What do you have masters in?
My master's is I'm a master plumber and a master gas fitter. So, and you know, I had just gotten my master gas this year. I took that test 3 times, and that test is, a lot of people won't attempt that test because it's that hard. I know people that have taken it like 6 or 7 times.
Yeah. How long did you study for it?
The last time that I took it, this is a funny story. The last time that I took it, I did not study at all. I was like
just winging it, just going.
I winged it, and I was like that day, which it's just me. It's just me with my business. It's just me and a helper, and my helper Austin. He's been with me now for about 6 months, and I'm training Austin to. Austin came in and he didn't know anything about plumbing. He nothing, and that's what I wanted. I wanted somebody that didn't know anything about this, so I can teach somebody the way that I was taught, and to teach them, just basically teach them how to be a good plumber, you know.
What's the name of your business?
It is called Integrity Plumbing Service, LLC.
And tell everybody where you got that name from.
Oh, everybody that knows me, that's probably listening to this probably knows. People get it. Integrity is my favorite band. That is my all-time favorite band.
Well, tell people out there listening that don't know who, they're like, Integrity? I've never heard of that band. What's that band?
Integrity is a hardcore band from Cleveland, Ohio that has been around since the late 80s. I think the first time I heard Integrity, I was 17. I was dating this girl at the time, and this is back at the time that burned CDs were the thing. You know, you burned CDs. So we were dating, and she had burnt me a bunch of CDs, which some of them were, I had Blood for Blood, Outlaw Anthems. That's a good one. American Nightmare. I had American Nightmare. There was some, I forgot what else was in there, but she had burned me a copy of Integrity Systems Overload. And I had heard about integrity because back when I was younger, like you would get like Hit Parader and Circus Magazine. Yeah, I don't know if you remember those.
Yeah, I do.
But
Used to get
my
some of them.
bedroom just used to be, the walls were just covered in band pictures. You couldn't even see the walls in my room. And I remember there was an Ozfest when that Hate Breed was on. And in that, I wish I tried to find that picture. I cannot find that picture. But every single one of them in that spread was a whole 2-page spread with them on Ozfest. They were all wearing integrity shirts. And I was like, wow, what is this integrity? So a couple years later, fast forward, I'm in, I was in the hardcore scene, was playing in a band, played in a skateboardist. We did that band for like 6 or 7 years, which those were some great times. And she had burned me Systems Overload. And when I listened to it, I was like, oh my God. I was like, it mended the gap with everything that I listened to as far as hardcore, metal, punk, crust, all that stuff. They like mended the gap with all that. And lyrically, like my favorite song on that by Integrity is Mediator. It really talks about like, feeling like you're the outcast and not wanted by, a group of people. And, but
that's basically the anthem of all hardcore music, right?
Yeah. Well, but they dig a little bit deeper, but, we had I had listened to that record. I couldn't stop listening to it. And then about a couple months later, they played at Cave 9 with Death Before Dishonor. And I went to that show and I was like, oh, it was.
I bet that was insane.
It was insane. And they barely tour anymore. But
they're all like really old and stuff, right?
Well, Dwid lives in Belgium now. So,
really?
Yeah. He's been living in Belgium. And well, they did a tour at the first of the year, and they played in Atlanta. And me and my best friend, Chase Kuykendall, love that guy. We went to Atlanta to see Integrity, and they played at the Loft in Atlanta. And I remember, and Chase will tell you this. I was sitting there on the front side of the stage, I was standing there, I was shaking real bad. I was just like one of my favorite bands. I have not seen them in like 15 years. And Chase was like, he said the look on my face, he was like, I felt like all hell was fixing to break loose. He was like, man, and once they came out and they played they went from Vocal Test into Hollow into Psychological Warfare. Dude, I stage dived like 50 times that night. I think I made all the kids in Atlanta mad that night. But I mean, and I woke up the next morning and I was like, I got to remember I'm not 18 years old anymore.
Did you do any hate moshing English Madden?
Oh my God. I think I kind of made Dwid a little bit upset because I kept hopping on stage and pointing fingers in his face like I was hogging the mic the whole time. I mean, they played jam after jam,
dude. Funny, dude.
They played everything I wanted to hear. So
it sounds good. I'm glad you got to experience that, man. It sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's awesome. I remember when you I don't know if you remember this, but it was me and Matt, and then you and Dan, I think, Dan East.
Dan the man.
And we went to see Down play with Harp and Black Tusk. Do you remember that?
Oh, in Huntsville.
In Huntsville, what was it, Matt? The Blues, what's that place called?
Oh, man, that was...
the Blues House?
No. Oh, man, that's right down the street from my house, too. I can't remember the name of the place.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd ever seen Down play, and the first time I saw Phil and Selman, so I was like fanboying out. But I remember you being really drunk.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a little bit of a pit going on, and he's like, there's these two really big dudes with beards, and I just see English push both of their backs, and he pushes them into the pit, and he's drunk, and he's falling over on himself, and I'm just like, this is hilarious. But they weren't mad or anything. They helped pick him up.
Yeah.
I was like, I've
been known to get a little bit, I've known to get a little bit crazy at shows. So, but yeah, I remember that because Black Tusk played too, and that was
they opened, and then Harp played, and then Down.
Yeah, and I thought like, man,
that was a good show.
I was blown away by Harp when I saw them play, and because like me and Dan had rode all. This was a crazy story. Like Dan had drove, I rode with him. I had been drinking
like the whole time.
I had been drinking moonshine that day.
Okay, yeah.
And this was when I was really younger. I really don't drink anymore. I really don't.
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I've kind of stepped away from that. Yeah, especially as you grow up and you're a single dad running a business and everything. You kind of got to step back from that stuff. And it's just like, I'd rather have fun, doing the things that I, enjoy doing now, like, and but yeah, there was always some crazy shows. I almost got kicked out of the Tabernacle in Atlanta. Me and Lance Brazil and Chance Cross went to see Deftones on the Diamond Eyes tour.
Oh yeah,
And
I saw them on
Dillinger
the
Escape Plan.
tour as
Dillinger
well.
Escape Plan opened for them, and the last song they played was 43% Burnt. And I mean, I lost it. I lost it, man. And the security guards came over. I was just shoving people back, and but I mean, it's all fun, man. It's like, nobody's trying to get hurt. It's just like I'm so like music is a big. Well, I can't say that because I've kind of done some damage in my past years, but
Yeah.
it's just the scene that we were in.
Yeah, I got to tell this story real quick, and all the hardcore fans and punk rock kids at heart can make fun of me. But when we were all really young teenagers, Jason Allen, our mutual friend, he got us into going to Cave 9 and going to see these hardcore bands and these punk shows and stuff like that. And at the time, like we were all like, I thought like typical moshing was just getting in there and pushing people around. I didn't understand the concept of slam dancing and any of this other stuff and true moshing. And I remember we used to bust Jason's balls because he was doing it. And he was telling us about straight edge, but we never really listened to what he was saying. And then we just assumed that straight edge was what he was doing in the pit. Even when he's hitting a mad two-step, throwing some bows. We're like, oh yeah, he's in there straight edging. He's straight edging in the pit. And he's like, what are y'all talking about? That's not what that is. I'm moshing. Like straight edge is like, it's like a movement. It's like not like doing like drinking and doing drugs and stuff like that. And we're like, oh, but for like years, or not for years, probably like what, for like a year. We're like, oh yeah, Jason's really weird. He gets in there and he straight edges.
Oh yeah. But see, I've always been more the stage diver. I've always liked stage diving.
It's really fun. Stage
I live
diving,
for that.
Yeah. I did a front flip into a crowd once, man, and I remember feeling all the bodies collapse beneath me. But I didn't get hurt. I didn't get hurt. I'm sure,
I actually have a Cave 9 tattoo.
Oh, dude, he totally does.
Yeah.
The Cave 9 tattoo.
But that Cave 9 was a real experience. And a big part of, I feel like anybody that was really involved with it, not just somebody that, just went, I went and saw this show. We were involved. Like even our band was involved. Like it was the shows and the friendships and that it's a culture. What people don't understand, like a lot of people don't get, like it's a culture that just, you can't leave. That culture doesn't leave you. Once you're in that. And like it becomes a part of your life. Like I learned so much stuff about, which I was never straight edge, but I had a lot of straight edge friends.
Mm-hmm, same.
And, but the open minds of, and messages that bands were putting up, and it was such a community based thing. And I'm so grateful that I got to see the bands that I had witnessed, watching. I mean, the first, like when you're talking about moshing and like the craziness.
You mean straight edging?
Yeah, straight edging, straight edging. But the first real experience, I never, because I was going to shows, but the first like actual show where. I think the first hardcore show I went to was in 2001 at the Boiler Room. That was Haste. That was a
minute ago, bro.
Yeah, that was Haste. That was the first introduction. I was like 12, 13, 14. And our, friend Jake, rest in peace. His mom had took us. She sat out in the car in the parking lot, and it wasn't bad. It's like almost West End. And it was like this old building, but we went and seen Haste. And me and Crazy Josh and Jake Whitehead, we went, and we were like the youngest kids there. And I can remember the sense of community that was there. And Kelly Reeves, all I can remember, Kelly Reeves, the singer, he had a sick mustache, and he dove off the top of the PA speaker, dove off of it into this crowd of people, and it was just mayhem. And I was like, I want to be a part of this. Like it was so underground. Nobody knew anything about it, and it wasn't making no mainstream, nothing like that. But I started going to shows and I got really big into punk. I went to punk shows. A lot of them were at Zydeco, stuff like that. And then, but the first real show, we had just started Escape Artist, and this was 04. And Josh Bradford, Josh and Dan really started turning in. Like, I had heard like bands like Poison the Well and Evergreen Terrace and Norma Jean and Under Oath and stuff like that at the time. But when me, Josh, and Dan East really started connecting, and we started this band with me and Lance Brazil as us as me, Josh, and Lance were the core members for years. And Josh and Dan were really showing us bands that I'd never heard of or anything. So Josh and Dan were like, hey, we're going to go to the show. It was on a Friday. We went and saw Throwdown, Most Precious Blood, The Judas Cradle, which was another awesome local band, and Love is Red at Cave 9. And that place was the first time of intensity in a show that I'd ever seen. There was people diving off the balcony. They were climbing up. They had the poles that went all the way up to the ceiling. There was kids crawling all the way up to the ceiling and just diving off of them. And it was the most insane thing I'd ever seen. And I was hooked.
It's a perfect thing for, like, I feel like a up and coming young man. You've got all that angst and all that testosterone. Like, that's
Well,
it's a good outlet, right?
Well, it's always been a good outlet. And like music has really saved my life, I feel, especially through dark times. And I've been through some dark times in my life. I've lost so many friends, especially, when I dealt with, losing my son's mom years ago. And a lot of people at that time, it was really shocking. And a lot of people were really scared for me and my son. And because they didn't know how I was going to react to what was going on. But, you just have to push forward. And a lot of the times, putting in the headphones is what made me, want to do that. And, I have a son. So, so it's kind of, there's things in your life when you feel like you're this emptiness and isolated, and you feel like there's no one around, but there is, and music is also, has been everything to me, so, I mean, music's my life. I mean, it has always been, so, but.
Have you ever seen either the movie or the book American Hardcore?
Yes.
So I have both, and I remember I was working at this job some years ago, and I was reading it, and this guy comes up, and he's like, "What in the hell are you reading, man?" I was like, "It's American Hardcore, man. It's about the hardcore punk music and the hardcore scene coming up." And he's like, "Yeah, I know what kind of music that." He's like, "Man, why do you listen to all that stuff, all that screaming and hollering, man? It's just." It's not even like, can you even call that music? And I was like, whoa. I was like, absolutely. I was like, dude, it's not just a bunch of screaming and hollering. They are sending a message. They are screaming and talking about, it's their aggression and their angst, and it's about oppression, and it's about community and brotherhood. And I was like, there's like the music is like this therapy. It's a way for people to be free in a way that they can't get from any other, like, I was like, no shots on any other music, but this music is just completely free. There doesn't have to be nice melodies. There doesn't have to be perfect falsettos and vibrato when you're singing. It's about sending a message that people, that they're not alone, and they have this community, and they have this brotherhood. And I said all that to him, and he goes, holy shit. Okay. Well, and then he goes, I still hate that music though.
Yeah. I mean, but music is an expression, and it's a feeling that goes, I mean, it just, there's things that have to catch you off guard, and it's something. Have you ever just put in headphones and you listen to that one song that just gave you chills? I mean, it's
all the
like
time.
that.
I have multiple playlists of songs that like they just touch certain neurons in my brain, and I just feel it like deep inside. It's like butterflies. Like the first time you like make out with a girl you're in love with or whatever. Like it's that feeling, and it puts you in this weird state. So I completely understand it, man. I honestly believe that.
It's like if you listen to like Poison the Well, he's so mean, but his lyrics are so beautiful. I mean, really, and I love that, man.
What's great is the relatability to it. You know, you listen to that stuff, and people can be singing about anger and violence and depression, and it's like it's soothing because you're like, oh, you too? I thought only but me. You know?
Yeah, but
So
I mean,
it's really important.
It's a release, and it's really poetic, and it's really, you know, that stuff. It really all just comes from the heart. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know you're probably so tired of these questions throughout the years and stuff, but you have some famous family members.
I knew this was going to come up.
Yeah, hey, I got to ask, just because I've never actually talked to you more personally like we are now. And so obviously I've known, and I know it's always been the big topic, but I don't know anything about it personally because I've never talked to you about it. So tell us about your famous Good Charlotte cousins, man.
Oh, this is
lifestyles.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, you know, I've gotten that for all the years, and
you're related
you know,
to Benji and Joel Madden from Good Charlotte.
Yeah.
So what's your relation?
They are first cousins.
First cousins.
Yeah.
Okay.
My dad was their mom is my dad's sister, Aunt Robin, which I love Aunt Robin, and you know, it's not like this whole you almost hang out all the time and stuff like that. No. Like it's
because they grew up in Jersey. Or?
No. DC. Rolled off and Maryland.
Okay.
Rolled off.
Okay.
So you know, which my dad's originally from DC. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's not like it's, you know, I got to meet a lot of bands over the years because of them.
I'm sure.
I mean, you know, I thought that was cool.
Before they got big and famous, though, did you all keep up? Did you go to family reunions?
I think there was a couple of times.
Like that?
I remember as a kid that they had come down here a few times or something when we were kids, stuff like that. So, but it's not like it's a, you know, I talk to him every day and stuff like that. You know, I seen him a couple of years ago in Nashville. I mean, I went up there and saw him, and you know, it was cool and stuff like that, and hung out with him, and you know, we sat there and talked about same thing I always talk about, music. So, and I mean, it was cool. But the only thing I was like, I told Benji, I was like, you know, I just want to see all your equipment. I want to see what you're playing on. So when they got signed, Benji had called my dad, and anybody that knows my dad, which I love my dad to death. My dad's he's an awesome dad, man. He's really, my dad is very musically inclined. So you get this whole underground, I got to search for the low, you know, the deepest stuff that nobody knows about,
Sure.
which I still do. He was like that too, but he has a lot of guitars, a lot. I think
He's got a lot of kids too.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think in his house he has over 240 guitars.
Jesus.
So,
Mary and Joseph.
Yeah. So yeah.
Can I have some of those? Jesus.
Yeah. I think. Well, believe it or not, I think that he is auctioning off a lot of them. Yeah. But Benji, they had gotten signed, and Benji had called my dad, and my dad had a Soldano SOL 100. And this is head. Now the crazy thing about this head is it's the only amp that literally goes to 11. It was a snakeskin head. They had just gotten signed. They were fixing to do their first tour, and he called my dad. I need an amp. You know, I'm really looking for an amp. Dad said, I got something for you. And he sent him that Soldano head, and he sent him, I think it was a 68 Fender Telecaster thin line. He sent both of those to him, and Benji still has this. He still plays with the Soldano live. He still has it. So, which is pretty cool. But over the years, I mean, you know, it's kind of cool, you know, I guess. But like, we don't like talk every day and stuff like that, you know. So
it's interesting. I mean, obviously, a lot of people when they find out, they're gonna. It's the first thing they're probably gonna ask you. I imagine you got tired of that, or all your family probably got tired of that through the years. Like, oh my gosh, you guys are related to those dudes that were in Good Charlotte.
Yeah, there was one time that Benji actually went out on a. He actually did something for us for Escape Artists. So we back. This is the MySpace era too.
Yeah.
So in Pure Volume, I don't know if y'all remember that, but yeah, but he had posted something. I guess it was like, I don't know where he had gave us a shout out, because I remember there was one day we were sitting in Josh's living room. Josh was like, "Man, we got like 1,000 hits today on one song." Like Benji had gave us a shout out, and like all of our songs started getting hit, and I was like, and I figured out later on that it's like, hey, Benji gave y'all a shout out, and I was like, well, that was nice of him. So. But now I got to meet a lot of bands because of them. Like I remember when I got to meet Fat Mike from NoFX at Warped Tour 02.
Dude, that's sick.
That was.
Did you fangirl out big time?
I was actually really kind of cool, but that first off, he is kind of arrogant. That becomes the ego. But the only thing he said to me, "Hey man, you want to go to my bus and get drunk?" And, I was like, 14.
Did you do it?
I'm not going to discuss.
You're not
going to
discuss. Okay, all right. We'll talk later.
Yeah, but I mean that was a good year because I also got to see Thursday too.
Okay,
I got to see Thursday, and then
God, I used to hate that band.
I
don't anymore. But in the beginning, God, I hated it.
Isn't it crazy?
And I hated pop punk too.
Yeah,
Newfound Glory came out. I was like, man, these guys are a bunch of pussies.
I still do not like Newfound Glory.
You don't like Newfound Glory?
No, I hate that band. I hate them.
The Godfathers of pop punk, bro.
I met them when my cousins played Birmingham too, and Stretch Armstrong was on that tour.
Oh, was it with Set Your Goals?
No. This was before Set Your Goals. But no, it was Stretch Armstrong. It was Stretch Armstrong, Newfound Glory, my cousins. And it was like 03. But
oh, I know exactly the show you're talking about.
I couldn't get into them, man. Like when it comes, like if you want to say pop punk.
But that was also the era that they were like signed to a major label and they were kind of doing music for the label, right?
But that was at the time that labels were picking up. They were pulling everybody out of that scene. Like you saw bands like, my cousins got signed, Newfound Glory got signed, got on a major label. And then as far as like hardcore bands and post-hardcore, like they were ripping everybody up. Like Thursday, Glassjaw, Poison the Well got signed. They were just trying to like, everything started becoming mainstream at that point.
It was a niche. It was a niche market for that kind of music.
And they were pulling everybody. But I couldn't get in it. Like when you say pop punk to me, like I listen to bands like Lagwagon and No Use for a Name and like, even newer bands like the Flatliners and stuff like that. That kind of punk, especially Lagwagon. That's Lagwagon's like one of my up there bands. Joey Cape's lyrics are just amazing.
When I think of pop punk, the first band that comes to my mind is Social Distortion. I don't know why, but that's always the band that always pops up in my head. Social Distortion. Or the Ramones. I feel like the Ramones were the first pop punk band, technically. Right?
The Descendants.
The Descendants.
Yeah, The Descendants. I mean, lyrically, musicianship, that band is flawless. I mean, for real. I believe you. I mean, I feel like Milo's just singing about me sometimes. I feel like everybody's singing about me.
He did the sassy chick thing to me just now, man. He went, psst, they're the best.
Oh, I mean, they are.
They're good. They're really good. I haven't listened to a lot of their stuff, but they're decent.
They
So even to this day, though, so you don't like NFG at all, even now?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Okay. What about, did you ever get into Brand New?
I got into a little bit of Brand New stuff.
They started out pop punk and then they went more kind of weird artsy rock, like the Smiths sort of.
I mean, there's some stuff I like from Brand New, but like I was like, it wasn't, I just wasn't, all about Brand New. I mean, I like them, but I'm not, but like, as far as like post-hardcore bands, like my best friend Angela, shout out. She is like, she can school on post-hardcore all day. Like she sends me stuff like round and round, like bands I've never even heard of, because I'm always digging because I listen to everything. I don't keep in a one track like genre. Like I listen to my spectrum is everything.
What's the weirdest thing that you listen to that people would be surprised? They're like, whoa, he listens to that? No way.
Coldplay.
Nice. I like Coldplay. Coldplay's all right.
Hey man,
not bad.
Parachutes. Great album.
I used to say that my guilty pleasure for like rock was Goo Goo Dolls, but then they used to be like a New York punk band, And for years, I didn't realize this because I didn't like study up on them. But I was always like, yeah, that's my guilty alternative rock pleasure. It's the Goo Goo Dolls. Still
Yeah,
love 'em.
but I like anything. I like anything that's just what I'm feeling at the time.
Do you like R&B stuff? Listen to Lionel Richie and the Commodores. Which, speaking of Lionel Richie, Nicole Richie is married to your cousin, I think. Still, maybe they're not anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, they're still
Shout out Nicole Richie and Lionel Richie and Joel Madden.
I think yesterday I was getting Andrew at Four Swords Tattoo in Huntsville. He's been doing a huge lion heads piece on my back. That was never. I started it like 7 years ago. It was never like the outline wasn't even partly done.
It's not finished yet.
He just started on it yesterday, so my back's really sore right now.
Can we see it?
I'm not gonna not right now because but he like you go in a tattoo shop, you go in his shop, like everybody's always listening to like grindcore, death metal stuff like that, and you go in his shop, he's just like Al Green and stuff like that.
That is awesome, dude.
He's been tattooing for a long time, so like I get tattooed by him. Andrew at Four Swords and Paul Thomas at Good Neighbor here. Which I love Paul Thomas's work because it's so obscure. Like he has his own signature on, especially American traditional, which is one of my favorite styles of tattooing. So, but I get tattooed by both of them. But yeah, stuff like that. But as far as like bands and stuff, oh my god! Like
me and Thomas used to know, or not know, but we used to do landscaping for this man and his wife, and the dude was in a jazz band, and I mean like classic jazz, like 1930s, 1920s type jazz. And to describe it the way this guy looked, he looked like a more muscular version of Kerry King. Big guy, looked like a Viking, big beard, bald head, tattoos all over. And he played this just sweet, smooth jazz, slow. But if you saw him, you'd be like, what? No freaking way. He plays jazz and he listened to a lot of Luther Vandross and stuff like that. It is just, I love that stuff though, but I think that stuff is so interesting.
Yeah, but it's like, it's like I said, as far as like music goes, and I'm always trying to find stuff like that nobody's ever heard of. Like I still like Profane Existence, which is a crust label out of Wisconsin. They still send me like fanzines and stuff, like bands you'll never hear of, like but I it's like I said, it's just what I'm feeling at the time. So I listen to everything. So there's no limits on what you listen to.
Variety's a spice of life, after all.
Oh yeah. So
All right, dude. So I'm going to get a little bit more interpersonal. I get to the part of the show where, I ask people like what they're personally struggling with at the moment. Like, what are the things that you're wrestling with, dude?
I think as far as, being a single dad,
How's that working out for you?
Well, I mean, my son is slowly but surely turning into his own father.
Oh no.
But he's also picking up on playing drums.
Oh, heck
He's got some chops, man. He can D-beat too. And for real, he's just real. He's going to be a really good punk drummer. I promise you that. But just trying to overcome. You're in a town. It's just me and my son, and then you're running a business at the same time. And then you just feel isolated. You feel isolated from everything that you've ever known, your friendships with people, especially here. I still think I keep in good communication with a lot of my friends I've had for years. And, just every day of just the struggles of stress and, feeling, and I know that we live in a time now where a lot of people have no choice but to be isolated. But, I felt like, especially in the past 5 or 6 years, I felt isolated from a lot of people. I felt like I'm alone, and it's like I can't do this or anything, but and then depression sets in, and I've always tried to be a positive person. I've always tried to be funny and say dumb jokes and stuff like that, but I have to remind myself that there are people out there that do care and people that do love you and want to see you succeed. When at times in my life I felt like everybody wanted to watch me fall. I'm like one of those, if you tell me I can't do it, I'm gonna prove you wrong. And I'm gonna fight for what I feel is mine. But it's just overcoming all that kind of part, because some people just don't know how to get out of that strain, of being stressed and and there's so many people now that just are suffering from anxiety and like trying to overcome. It's like me, it's like my best friend Angela helped me at a time in my life where I went through a bad breakup. I was depressed. I'd come to the point where I wanted to quit drinking. I was tired of it. I had done, it's always these stories about English. It has to deal with drinking. And I mean, there were some good ones. There are some good ones, but it becomes not fun. It starts consuming you. And I remember it was this time last year, I'd stopped drinking and I started going through, and I mean, I don't really talk about this, so I guess I'm being real personal.
Hey man,
which I have no problem with that, but it was a bad, dark. I've lived these dark points in my life where I didn't know how I was going to get out of it. I didn't care, but like I said, my best friend Angela, I'd quit drinking, and Angela's been sober now for over 3 years, and I'm so proud of her for that. Like she is my best friend. Like that, she's an awesome mom. She's the coolest person in the world, and we've been good friends for so long. But when I quit drinking, I started going through withdrawals, and I remember one day I was standing in Target, and I didn't know what. I've never had this happen. I had an anxiety attack. I went outside and I called Angela. I was like, I don't know what's going on with me. Like I'm like sweating real bad. I feel like I'm freaking out. And she was like, you're having an anxiety attack. You need to just calm down, take a breath, whatever. But I started like moving past that point, and then I started realizing I have a lot more to live for than just feel sorry for me. You know what I'm saying? Like I have a son. I have a son that just, we do everything together. I get on his nerves a lot, which, I'm not gonna tell stories about me messing with you. We mess with each other a lot, but I mean, it's you have that, and then you also have people around you that really do care. People that want to see you succeed, and people want to see you stride.
And those are the people that you do it for, right? That's the people that matter the most.
And it really is that way. But I started to fight back. This upcoming year in 2020, I started fighting back, and I was like, I had lost myself for so long of who I was, how I felt, the way that I handled situations. Really, like there's a lot of times I look back at things, especially failed relationships, failed friendships, family problems, stuff like that. There's stuff that I did not handle like I should have. But I started fighting back this year, and I started redefining who I was as a person, because it doesn't matter how big of a house you live in, the car you drive, the clothes you wear, the money you got, none of that stuff matters. Because I say this to myself all the time. When I die, how do you want to be remembered? For the material? That stuff's not going with you, bro. So, but as far as that, being a parent is very tough. It is very tough, especially with the circumstances that have happened this year. And on top of that, running a business at the same time, and you're doing this all on your own. You have all these tentacles that are just working. But yeah, I have so much. I'm so grateful to have a support system of so many people behind me that I didn't realize. And I just got back into playing music this year that I'm pumped. Like I'm stoked. For the first time in my God knows how long. From the first time I started as a skateboardist in 2004, like this is the first time I've actually been really excited about my life, and where I'm going with it. Because there's a lot of things that are going to happen in 2021 that I'm not going to talk about. I'm not going to say. It's just going to happen, and people will know. But I'm just feel like if somebody, and especially too, because I've dealt with so many people that have, addictions, in their life. Especially I've watched people with, drug problems and, that kind of stuff. Don't, if you have somebody that that has that kind of problem, don't walk away from it. Run toward them, be a part of their life. Because at the end of the day, they feel like they're alone and nobody understands what they're going through. That's the first thing everybody says. That's what I said to myself for so long. Nobody knows what I'm going through. But you know what? There are people out there that know what you're going through. It's tough. Life is tough. It doesn't matter how good you think you got it. There's something around the corner waiting for you. How you handle that situation is going to define who you are. People don't look at it that way. So, but as far as being stressed out and stuff, I think I've gotten a pretty good hold on that in my older age.
Seems like it, man. I feel like you're doing pretty well for yourself, dude.
I appreciate it.
You just got to keep going on, keep moving on, keep trucking it.
I appreciate it.
What? Tell us a little bit about this band that you're in.
So when I moved to Huntsville, I got hooked up with a couple of guys. People found out. Apparently, bass players are very hard to come by in Huntsville, and I'm really a bass player. I've always played guitar in bands, always. But I'm really a bass player. But a couple of people found out that, hey, man, there's this cat, from Birmingham that just moved up here. He plays bass. So I went and jammed with a couple of people when the drummer was Kobe Childers. And we had tried to do this hardcore band. It didn't work out. I think scheduling and stuff, and everybody had a lot going on. Like, it just didn't happen. So a couple of months later, good friend of mine, Aaron Surratt, and Amanda LaCroix, love those guys. Those are amazing people. Me and Aaron were talking about starting a project. Aaron's an amazing guitar player. Oh my God. So I had posted this thing on Facebook up there saying, hey, we're looking for a drummer. We just want to get together and jam, see what's up. This dude named Rocky McCall hit me up. He was like, hey man, I'm down. Let's do this. I got a guitar player named Josh. Me and him's been working on some stuff. Let's check it out. So we went and jammed. I know the story's kind of long, but I'm trying to build up. Like, I get real detailed about stories. I don't know if you could tell that.
I'm a very detail-oriented person.
Yeah.
Go,
we went to Rocky's house, and this is where I met Josh. And they were like, oh, let's show you these songs that we got. I was floored by Josh's guitar playing. Like, Aaron's a good guitar player, and Josh is a good guitar player, and it was just like, I've never played with like that kind of. I've played with technicality, but not like this. And I was like, man, this is some like next level stuff. But that was kind of like, I think the same thing with that. It's just as you get older trying to play music, like schedules, because everybody's got careers and they're doing this and that.
So much easier when you're a teenager living in your parents' basement.
And you're playing shows like every weekend and going to shows. But it kind of didn't go that way. So a couple months later, I hadn't heard from Kobe in a while. And I was at work one day, and Kobe calls me at like 10:30 in the morning. I was like, I hadn't heard from him in like 6 months. Kobe said, hey, man. I was like, what's up? And he was like, hey, I got something to ask you. He was like, hey, do you want to come try out playing bass for Caradell? And I was like, oh, okay. So Caradell was this big pop punk band. They were signed. And they had toured the U.S. countless times and the U.K. and stuff like that. And they put out records, and they were like that. Sorry, but they were kind of a big band. But they had went on. I think they had just gotten burned out from touring, so they went on this hiatus. They just stopped, and Kobe had just lost his dad, and they had decided that they wanted to get back together and jam. So the bass player, their bass player, it just didn't sync up. I guess it just didn't work out like they thought it was going to. And Josh, and it was just crazy because I didn't even know Josh was in that band either. But they were, they had sat down and they talked. They were like, "Well, we got to find a bass player." And Kobe and Josh were like, "English Madden, we've played with them, like dudes." Which I appreciated. They were like, "He's flawless. Like he's a good bass player, and he's really down to earth, wild." And he, like, Kobe kind of like stressed it to me our new stuff doesn't sound like our old stuff. I swear, because the old stuff's like all upbeat and all this, all that stuff. And it was like, I listen to real punk, But he was like, I want you to listen to the demos that we got. I said, he was like stressing it so hard. I said, okay, dude, I'll just meet you at your practice space and we'll just listen to them. You ain't got to explain anymore. I sat in his car outside of the practice space. I was blown away from what I heard. I was like, dude, this sounds like some 90s SoCal Fat Wreck bands, which is some of my favorites. Just Wagwagon, Strung Out, No Use for a Name. I was like, and the Flatliners, which is a newer band. Well, they're not new, but they're newer. So I was like, I'm going to come try this out. And I went in there, got all my stuff, went in there, and we just started going at it. And they were just like, they were like, dude, I'd asked Kobe after we got done in the first practice. They didn't really say anything to me. And it was me and Kobe. Everybody had done left and everything. Kobe was like, I told Kobe, I said, man, I kind of need you to find out what's going on here, Kobe texted me back. He's like, man, you got this. He was like, they said they didn't even have to show you the songs. You were already writing bass lines and everything. So we've been writing. They've gotten back together and we're writing a full-length record right now. So we're supposed to be recording, and I'm not going to go into detail about that, but it's really, I'm going to be stoked about it with who's supposed to be mixing and mastering it too. So, but we've been writing these new songs, and these newer songs are just, it's like a more mature, like, level. So, and I couldn't be more happier. And the guitar play and the musicianship with all these guys, man. You could tell these guys got some years under their belts, especially as like a touring band too. So I've played with a lot of great musicians in my life, but they're just so cool guys. They're really, like, everybody looks out for each other, and it's cool and it's fun to hang out, and it's and that's about where it's at. But that's where we're at with it right now.
Sounds good, man. Sounds like a cornucopia of potential there. So whenever you guys do like your show and things kind of start opening up again, let me and Matt know. We'll definitely come out and check it out.
Oh,
dude.
yeah, definitely.
Even if it's in Huntsville, we'll drive out there.
Definitely. So, all this stuff everything's being worked out. So, we're just doing one thing at a time, which is trying to write a record. So, and that's a lot that's under the belt too. Trying to juggle that in my life too. So,
I feel like you're the perfect candidate for this though, man. You're very wiry, you're very active, very hyper. So you got a lot of energy. So you got to expel that out. That's why you got so many things going on.
I don't understand how I'm 33 years old and everybody always says, you got so much energy.
I feel like you're still the same as you were when you're like in your early 20s. I feel like you look the same and you still like talk fast and you're, very passionate.
Yeah, I still talk like Boomhauer from King of the Hill too.
Bang on.
Most of the time when I'm on the phone with people, like customers and stuff, what did you just say?
Really?
Like, yeah, I get it all the time, and I'm just so fast forward with everything.
You're from the dirty South, man. Wear it like a badge of honor. Wear it like a badge of honor. Sweet tea and barbecue. What it's all about. Man, let me get you to plug in your businesses, your plumbing stuff, your gas stuff, and then if people want to hear any music that you've done, let them know how they can find out, how they can find you, and how they can get a hold of you, man.
So I own a company called Intergity Plumbing Service, LLC. We're on Facebook and Instagram. Social media is the best platform. There's no sense in that. And as far as music goes, Caradel. Caradel's on Facebook. We're on all streaming platforms.
Spell that real quick.
It's Carrr. Idale. Caradel. Sorry, I was kind of off there, man.
No, you're good.
No, all their stuff that, I haven't played on any of that stuff, but all their stuff is on Apple Music, on iTunes and Spotify and stuff like that, and YouTube and all that. So, and Facebook and all that stuff too. So.
Perfecto. Dude, thanks so much for being on the show, man. I really appreciate it. Thanks for, reaching out and all that. I really appreciate it. You're a guy that has you've had a lot of struggles, man, and a lot of heartaches, but I feel like you got a lot of triumph in your life though too, man. And so I feel like your son's got a good role model, man. You're hyper, you're passionate about your music, and you're a business guy. So I feel like he's got a good role model, man. Just keep it up. Don't lose that.
I kind of feel like it's been a long road, but I still got a lot of years behind me to keep pushing.
Yeah, man. So I think you're doing a hell of a job, dude. So keep it up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Wrestling Diaries. We have my good friend English Madden here. check out his music, check out his plumbing business if you need that service, especially if you're in the Huntsville area, obviously. And also give him a shout out on social media and tell him how awesome he is and crazy also. If you want to check out more of our content, check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Tell everybody, like, give us some love. We're trying to grow something here for everybody else. It's very important. Struggle is manhood. And this is a podcast show for the average Joe. Also check us out on YouTube. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and just spread the gospel. We're missionaries here. We're on a mission. And what do you wrestle with? How can you beat it? One love.